Hello, I am Lorena, and I was one of the participants of the empathy groups that were organized by the participants of the training course in Poland, which was organized as a part of the project 3C, Connection, Compassion, Contact. And I would like to say that these workshops, these empathy groups, were very useful to me. They taught me a lot about nonviolent communication because we don't have a lot of opportunities to learn about this. And since the hosts of the empathy groups, Alexandra and Alexandra, had the chance to learn about this in Poland, they shared everything they learned with us, which was very useful, and I know that I will be using it in the future. So they taught us about nonviolent communication, the main techniques of nonviolent communication, and some other interesting things, among which I loved. My favorite was the giraffe and the jackal language, because before that we talked about how we resolve conflicts, and then they demonstrated to us the giraffe language and the jackal language, and we could see the difference between those two, and we realized that sometimes we all use the jackal language, but in this way you see what you do, you're more aware of it. So then the other time you can use the giraffe language and solve the conflict in a more, useful, but also in a way that can actually resolve the conflict without having any negative emotions, so in a healthy way. Also, another part that I really loved was when they talked about how to express grief, and the participants were very approachable and willing to share their experiences. So we all talked about how we express grief, and then the hosts of the empathy groups showed us different ways and what are actually healthy ways to express grief, and why this is so important, so that we can heal properly at the time of grief, not so that it doesn't stay in our minds for a long time. And I think this is very important to know, since yes, and I am also very sure that we all loved it and it was useful for all of us, because we asked the hosts to organize some more meetings where we can go more in depth in these topics, because they really are valuable and so many more people should know this. That's all from me, and thank you.
Due to the fact that I'm a pretty emotional person, I decided to enroll in that meeting, which was offered by my friend. During this meeting, we discussed about emotions that helps you to build the communication, such as empathy, acceptance, and trust. The most interesting method that I have learned from this meeting is method which contains 4 main stages. Observation, here you observe the situation. Feelings, you try to realize what you feel. Needs, you try to identify what's your need, and requests. It's the last stage where you concrete actions you would like taken. I'm confident with saying that this method will help me to cope with stress that is caused by unfamiliar emotions. By using this method, I will identify the emotions and will reach the state where I surely know what I want and what's my request.
Self-awareness makes life easier to everyone. And these empathy sessions brings in me more possibility to be aware of living in presence. Empathy gives us a possibility not to enter the judgment with the person, but to observe what is happening with my friend, and with asking the right questions to realize why. Empathy helps not to judge or to influence on me with opinion. If more people practice empathy, a world will be a better place.
First time MPC was a little bit funny for me, because I couldn't really imagine how people can use it in the real life. It's just like something utopical, but after the 3 sessions I realized that it's all about empathy and understanding, and everyone should use it. But I also think that it's complicated and you need to practice a lot. During these sessions, I learned about myself, my community, and I think it helped me to improve my relationships and to realize that giving advice is not always the best option what you can do. So I think it's gonna be a really helpful thing in my life, and I will practice it a lot. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Abrish from Hungary, and I was a participant in the 3C Connection, Compassion, Contact training course about nonviolent communication in Poland. And I was then also a member of the empathy group that we organized in Hungary in our organization to carry on the spirit of the project and NVC. So in this empathy group, we did it in an online format. So 3 times in total, we came together to discuss things about NVC and then to try to practice it a bit, to share about feelings, about needs, and share our thoughts about NVC. And I think one of the biggest findings for me was this journey of exploring NVC in my native tongue, because previously I practiced it in English in the project, and this time I could find the words for feelings and needs in Hungarian, which was a collaborative process with the others, and a very exciting one, trying to get the right words, because the right words are very important, I believe, in NVC. So then it was also interesting to not just the language, but in general to discuss it in my setting, in my cultural setting, with people from the same region, from the same town where I grew up, having a similar belief system, similar expressions and experiences. And every time I felt excited at the beginning, and then by the end I was always inspired by all the things that people shared about their feelings and needs and thoughts about NVC. And to share one of these thoughts, one of the other people said at the end that when we discussed that no one talks like this, when we talk a bit about the 4 steps of NVC, we said no one talks like this, and he emphasized it at the end, no one talks like this, and then he added unfortunately, and I think that was the strongest moment.